Shalom Uvracha from Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh. This Torah section is the last Torah reading of this Jewish calendar year, Parshat Nitzavim. We wish everyone the happiest, healthiest, most all-encompassing, beautiful, sweet Shana Tova M'tuka, the sweetest year. Amen. And as we study the last Haftarah of this year, I would just like to point out that the Haftarah of Parshat Nitzavim, the topic of study this evening, is the last of the 7 prophecies of consolation that we read from Tisha B'Av until Rosh Hashanah. As I've mentioned several times in the last couple of weeks, there is a common denominator to all of these readings, to all of these prophecies. They're all taken from the book of Yeshayahu, they're all taken from the prophet Isaiah, and they all speak about some level of the rebuilding of Eretz Yisrael, the rebuilding of Yerushalayim, and ultimately the rebuilding of the Beit HaMikdash. We hope that our study will bring that into fruition immediately, and that way before Shabbat there will be the actualization of everything we studied. I would like to read together the Haftarah is taken from chapters 61, 62, and 63 of Isaiah. In the second pasuk of the Haftarah, if you're interested in following in the text, it's chapter 61, verse 11. Perek Samach Aleph, pasuk Yud Aleph. The rebuilding of Yerushalayim, the rebuilding of Eretz Yisrael, is compared to the earth that will bring forth its produce, to the garden which brings forth its seeds. I'll read it in Hebrew. Ki ka'aretz totzi tzimcha uchigana zeru'eha tatzmiach kein Adonai Elohim yatzmiach tzedakah utihila neged kol hagoyim. Whereas the earth brings forth its plants, and as the garden causes that which was sown to grow, so Hashem Elohim will cause recognition and praise for the Jewish people to grow before all the nations. So the question is, I hope it's happening right now, and I hope it'll happen even greater levels starting right now. Why is the restoration of Eretz Yisrael, why is the rebuilding of Yerushalayim compared to Aretz Totzi Tzimcha, like a sprout, like a plant that's growing from the ground? Why is it compared to a garden that's bringing forth that which grows there? And I saw in several of the commentaries that the imagery that's used here has something to do with the concept of tzemach, and the word latzmiach is used here. Totzi tzimcha ken Hashem Elokim yatzmiach, because maybe one of the scenarios of the Messianic era is not that of an instant Mashiach. There are many, many people, some of them maybe even living in Eretz Yisrael, but surely there are people in different parts of the world who are very disappointed in the fact that we're here and it's not yet Mashiach. It bothers them that, this can't possibly be anything connected to the Messianic concept, because Mashiach is a different idea. It has so many greater elements to it that we don't necessarily see before our eyes right now. And therefore they refuse to accept the fact that maybe Medinat Yisrael, maybe the state of Israel, has anything to do with Reshit Smichat Gulatenu. The word Smichat is used in that prayer also. Reshit Smichat, the beginning of the growth of our redemption. Because they want instant Mashiach. They want total Mashiach. We want to see the entirety of the redemption. We want to see the entirety of the process. We do want to see that. But can it be that one of the ways that Mashiach arrives, can it be one of the ways that we will enter the Messianic period, will be step by step, stage by stage? And maybe if that's the case, the reason why the pasuk in our Haftarah, the reason why the verse uses the concept of Kein Hashem Elokim Yatzmiach Tzedakah Utihila, God will God will cause to grow levels of righteousness, levels of praise. Eretz Yisrael will be rebuilt just the way We plant. When you plant a seed, you don't see instant growth. For a farmer that goes out to the field and plant, you come back the next day, doesn't see anything. Even next week, he doesn't see anything. Little by little, sapling, trees growing, growing, and growing, until ultimately it becomes that beautiful, fully developed tree. And so, those people who study Eretz Yisrael, the history of Eretz Yisrael, especially the history of modern Eretz Yisrael, can it not be a reference to the verses in our text that maybe Eretz Yisrael? How many people lived here? People lived in Eretz Yisrael 100 years ago. How many Jews were in Eretz Yisrael 100 years ago? How many Jews were here, at the founding of the state of Israel? And how many Jews, Baruch Hashem, are in Eretz Yisrael here today? We went from thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, to Baruch Hashem, millions of Jews. We're almost at the point where most of the Jewish people is living in Eretz Yisrael. It's a very, very significant change, especially those people who understand the halachic ramifications of such a. But it's not happening instantly. It's not like, okay, Mashiach. Yesterday was an ordinary day, today's Mashiach, and everything has changed. Yatzmiach tzedakah u'tehillah. Ki ka'aretz totzi simcha. And I appreciate and I empathize with those people who have no patience. We don't have time for this. We want instant Mashiach. We want Mashiach, now, today, right? Instantly. And it's frustrating sometimes. Don't tell me, okay, we weren't in charge of Yerushalayim. Now we have Yerushalayim. We couldn't have free direct access to the Kotel, to the Western world. Now we do. And look at all the development. Look at all the yeshivot. Look at all the people studying Torah. Look how many people. Look how many programs. How many people came to study in Eretz Yisrael? Even when I was in high school. How many people? How many of my classmates came to Eretz Yisrael to study the year after high school? What percentage? What percentage come today? It's a new world, right? It's Yatzmiah. From all of the different factions of the people studying, they're all coming to Eretz Yisrael. How many women? How many girls? How many girls graduated high school and then came to Eretz Yisrael to study for a year or 2 years? It's a new phenomenon. Eretz Yisrael is being developed. Eretz Yisrael is being expanded. There's growth in Eretz Yisrael. But it's not instant growth. It's Yatzmiach growth. It's Semach growth. And it could be that's why we say each day a prayer 3 times a day. Et Semach. Remember that in the formal Amidah? Et Semach. David Avdecha Mehirat Tatzmiach. Interesting, we put in the word Mehira, right? We want it to grow, but we want it to grow maybe an accelerated path, an accelerated pace. Maybe Baruch Atah Hashem Matzmiach Keren Yeshua. God plants the seeds of redemption. And I think it's a word of encouragement. Because if you do study what's going on in Eretz Yisrael, even if we cannot yet identify Mashiach to be here, there are many, many aspects of Mashiach which surely have not yet been actualized, but we're getting closer. We're getting closer all the time. The great process of so many more people, so many countless numbers of people who are getting closer to the will of God. So many people who are studying Torah. So many people who are following and living their lives based on Torah. We have in a few weeks, there's 2 weeks to Yom Kippur. Walk the streets of Eretz Yisrael on Yom Kippur. Don't you get the sense of, wow, the whole country is following Yom Kippur. It's so difficult to find any vehicle driving on Yom Kippur in any Jewish community except, Baruch Hashem, all the babies that are being born happily and healthfully all over the country. The whole country is observing a Yom Kippur, though. This is great movement. Everything's happening in a certain kind of direction. All the government offices with the mezuzot on their doors and kashrut being observed in all official places and Shabbat and Yom Tov. Matzmiach. Yes, this is missing and this is missing and this is missing. And there are people who, God forbid, they want to delineate what is missing in the process of the Yeshua. With all due respect, maybe we have to emphasize that which is already growing. Maybe we have to appreciate the plant in front of us, the tree in front of us, the not yet fully developed fruit, but it's happening in front of our eyes. And there is an ancient discussion in the early literature of the blessing that's said before the Kriyat Shema in the morning. Rabbi Miller, my beloved teacher, of blessed memory, used to say it's the longest blessing in the prayer book. It starts with Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam yotzer or borei choshech. It has about 2 pages of text, and then it ends Baruch Atah Hashem Yotzer HaMeorot. He claims it's the longest blessing. The blessing on the luminaries. Remember that? You say right after Yishtabach. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yishtabach in the morning, right? You would say, or blessing about the lights. And how great it is, the sun. Ameir la'aretz. What? Ameir la'aretz. At the end of that blessing, in certain communities, they add a sentence. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir, v'nizkeh chulanu mehira la'oro. Shine the new light upon Zion, and let us all benefit from that great light. Baruch atah Hashem, Yotzer HaMe'orot. You are the source of blessing, God, the creator of the luminaries. And there was a vehement opposition to that. By the way, that's the way I was raised. That's the way we pray in most, many Ashkenazi communities say it that way. I think they don't do not. I think many Hasidic communities, they're correct. Many Hasidic communities do not say that, right?
Chabad doesn't.
But many communities, and that's the sacred tradition that I received from my parents and my father, blessed memory, great rabbi. That's the way with Nusach Ashkenaz. We say Or Chadash al Tzion Ta'ir. So certain Gaonim, Or Chadash al Tzion Ta'ir. What are you speaking about? The light that will shine upon Zion? This is not a blessing about Zion. This is not a blessing about Jerusalem. This is not a blessing about the rebuilding of Israel. This is a blessing about luminaries. This is a blessing about the light, about the sun. What does that have to do with Or Chadash al Tzion Ta'ir? You want to pray for Israel? That's wonderful, but it has to be in some kind of context, not here. And that's why there are many communities that do not say it. One of the explanations justifying the recital of Or Chadash al Tzion in the blessing of luminaries is that perhaps the light that will shine upon Zion will shine in a way very similar to the light of day. Because the light of day, as it says in the Talmud Yerushalmi, about the great rabbis who were strolling together at the crack of dawn, and one rabbi says to the other in the Talmud Yerushalmi, in Masechet Berachot, he says, do you see the way it's getting light in the morning? It doesn't get light instantly. It doesn't go from the darkness of night to the brightness of afternoon, to the brightness of noon. It's gradual process. Little by little, gets lighter and lighter and lighter. And those people who've been outside, Amur HaShahar, those people who've been outside at Hanetza Hamad, at sunrise, it's not bright lights. It's a gradual light. So it could be, he suggests several commentaries. Why do we mention in the blessing of the luminaries the light of Zion? Because the light of Zion will shine, similar to the light of the luminaries. Maybe the way you see the sun's light getting brighter and brighter in a slow process, so too maybe it's a matzmiach. It's a matzmiach process. It's a gradual process that will bring the light upon Zion. Or Chadash al Tzion Ta'ir v'nizkech lanu mehira li'orah. I'm not saying, God forbid, that that's the Mashiach, the only way the Mashiach can arrive. And afal pishi itmameh im kol zeh hagelo b'chol yom she'yavo. Even though we're only partially into the process, the end of last week's Haftarah, in the end of chapter 60, which we read last Shabbat, is Ani Hashem be'itah ahishenna. I will hurry the process in its proper time. So it could be the simple interpretation of that text, according to certain commentaries, is that when the time comes, maybe then there will be a hastened process. Maybe we're leading up to that process. Maybe we have seen many steps in the Matzmiach, Keren Yeshua. Maybe we have seen Ken Hashem Elokim Yatzmiach, and we hope that tonight we've gone through the initial stages of all the Matzmiach. We've seen so many of the levels of blessings of the rebuilding of Eretz Yisrael, the rebuilding of Yerushalayim, the ingathering of the exiles. Just go to Ben Gurion Airport and celebrate with all the countries that are sending our brothers and sisters from all over the world back to Eretz Yisrael. Of course, we're feeling the process, but we want to see the entirety of the process. We want the maybe you have to take step by step, floor by floor elevator till you get to a certain point. But then there's an elevator. What's it called? The express elevator. Yeah, the express elevator all the way to the top floor. We're hoping that even if we took the elevator that stopped on each floor until now, in the process of Matzmiach, we are all looking forward in the honor of this great, new, happy, sweet year. May we all celebrate together the express elevator to the entirety of the process of the redemption. Thank you so much. Shana Tova Matuka.
Sure.